With the transfer portal opening tomorrow, one thing feels clear. Nico Iamaleava isn't the answer for Ohio State.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. During today's show, we'll discuss if the Buckeyes should have any concerns after the spring game, as well as some players that you should have confidence in on the defensive side of the ball. But first, Nico Iamaleava is a wanted man. There are a lot of teams around the country that are trying to lure Nico Iamaleava to play football at their school. The name might sound familiar to you. He was the starting quarterback for Tennessee last year, was QB1 for the Volunteers when Ohio State beat the brakes off of them in the shoe in the first playoff game played in Ohio Stadium. Nico Iamaleava made some questionable decisions that were unexpected by his teammates and coaches that allowed him to get dismissed from the team. And now it makes me wonder if Ryan Day should pursue Nico, who was 1 year starting under his belt as a quarterback, did some decent things there for the Volunteers. Well, all that's good, and his future might be bright. This is not a guy that Ryan Day should bring inside Ohio Stadium to be either QB1 in the fall or to be a depth piece. Absolutely not. Do not do it. Ryan Day should not pursue Nico in the portal. While the portal's opening up, I do think there are some things that Ryan Day can do in the portal via bringing in a quarterback that can be a very good thing for the team, but this ain't it. Nico unexpectedly missed team meetings and practice on this past Friday. And it's unexpected to you hearing that, but also when I first heard it, and I know it happened Friday, and I know that the portal was opening, and I was trying to figure out, does this make sense for Ryan Day? And I went back and forth. And after talking about Julian Sand on yesterday's show, the Everydayers realized I'm still very high on the young man. Yeah, he's about 6 foot. Yeah, he's a little bit slender. But he has the command of the offense you want right now in the spring. He's getting better. Yes, he's going to have some bad practices and make some bad throws and have to overcome adversity. All those things are still things that are going to happen. But there's not the veteran leadership. There's nobody in that room that has experience starting and playing a lot of football. Nico fits the description of a guy who's played a lot of football. He was a starter last year for Tennessee, had over 2,600 passing yards, a 63.8 completion percentage, through 19 touchdowns, 5 INTs. I mean, your first year starting, those numbers aren't the worst we've seen, but the baggage he brings. Now, I don't know all the NIL dollars because it's not truly documented like it is for someone like you're trying to get a job and some employers will put that thing in the job description. No. I ain't the same way with the NIL stuff. You can't just go out there and just say, Nico Iamaleava, how much money did he make in NIL? It's just not documented. But if you're trying to go from what he did a year ago to pursue doubling your NIL money, come on, man. Make it make sense. And now you're doing that, and you're trying to go out there and trying to find a better place to play football. And if the reports are true, I don't know how. It's very hard to know how much guys are making via NIL. But if they say he made $2 million last year, I've heard $2.2 million last year, whatever it is, make it a couple million a year. And if he's trying to double that, that doesn't seem like a wise decision. And I really wonder who is advising this young man to make that decision. Also, just because he's being advised to do some things, Nico doesn't have to follow that advice. Doesn't have to. But he is. It's not good advice. It wasn't a wise decision. Somebody questioned somebody on Twitter for calling Nico a kid. I am a person that still calls people that I have known for it since they were youngins. I still call them kids, and some of them are in their 20s right now. That's just what I do. I'm a goofy guy. I joke around. I like nicknames. And so for them, they don't get mad. It's just like the relationship that we have. I call them a kid. But Nico, 18, maybe 19 years old, was a redshirt freshman a year ago. Y'all, he's still a kid. I know he can go to the military. I know he can vote. I know there are some things he can do now that he is 18 years old. But the young man, to me, is still a kid. And nobody in their right mind as a football player, a coach, or an analyst, or even a fan, would suggest for anybody, hey, after a year starting, you're in college, maybe you do some good things. You stay there again, you'll get some money, you'll be able to better your own draft stock. Oh, no, you want more money over being developed? Okay, go ahead and hold out. Wait. Hold out. You mean I've been practicing with these guys all along, and then now the spring game is tomorrow? But no. Don't go to spring game. Focus on the dollars and cents. Coaches don't give advice like that, especially not to a college kid. They may to a guy in the NFL, but I don't even like NFL holdouts at all. I don't. I understand them. I understand why Nico did what he did. I don't agree with it at all. It doesn't make any sense. And for Ryan Day, who is a coach that I still believe needs to go to the portal to get a depth piece for the quarterback room. Absolutely. That is still something that is a need. Nico is not that guy. If you want to look at Nico's numbers from a year ago when he played better competition or just in general for the entire year, he only had one game of throwing over 300 passing yards. That was against Chattanooga in week number 1. 314 at a 78% completion percentage. 3 TDs, 0 interceptions. Great. Okay, cool. It's a great way to start your career as a starting quarterback. The Volunteers won the game 69-3. That's a great start to the year. As the season kept on going on, and you played teams in the SEC at Oklahoma, what'd you do? 61% completion percentage, 194 passing yards, 1 touchdown. At Arkansas, which was a loss, while the Volunteers beat Oklahoma the week before in a loss against Arkansas on the road, 17-29, 158 passing yards, 0 touchdowns. That's not good. Okay, let's go a little bit further. Alabama, who lost to Michigan in the bowl game. What did Nico do? It was a win for the team, but 14-27, a 51.9% completion percentage, 194 passing yards, 1 INT and 1 touchdown against Georgia. That wasn't good either. Less than 200 passing yards. You're getting the gist. Yes, you had a year started. Okay. I didn't even go to Ohio State's your numbers against Ohio State because those were your worst of the season. 104 passing yards, 45.2 completion percentage, 0 touchdowns, 0 INTs, a passer rating of 73.3, which was a season low. It was atrocious. Bad. Yes, it was your first year starting. You can just chop it up and say, well, he'll get better. Yes, he will. But to demand that, potentially doubling your NIL based off what you did last year? Absolutely not. Not today, not tomorrow, not any day of the week. And Ryan, they should not pursue these young men at all. You want a guy that's a 4-year, maybe a 5-year guy entering his 5th year in college football that's been around for a little bit, more of a Tristan Gebbia or a Chase Chuganoff kind of guy, a guy is going to come in and be a locker room guy, be a culture builder, one of those kind of characters. You want a guy with that character in the locker room when you're getting him in the portal, especially when you get him in this window. Nah, the portal's open from April 16th until April 25th. It's not that long for guys to enter the portal. Nico's trying to go somewhere else. Already got turned down by North Carolina and Bill Belichick. Who else is going to turn him down? I'm not sure, but my gut tells me there will be numerous teams that turn Nico down if Nico shows interest in them because they want no part of Nico Iamaleava in their football program. However, there are some guys at Ryan Day and Ohio State are eager to have in their program. Oh, wait, they're already here. You saw them during the spring game. They're on the defensive side of the ball, and y'all just wait. This defense has a chance to be elite this year. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena. And with Game Time, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and the last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. One of the things that Game Time does well is help you save money on last-minute deals by helping you save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, and other events near you. Game Time also has the all-in pricing, which means there are no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. I am not going to be a guy that's going to be negative about this defense right now. There's maybe one area, maybe it's just a small little bit. But outside of that, this defense, while it did lose the spring game, there's a lot of promise with a lot of players on the side of the ball. Peyton Pierce, one of them. Zion Grady, another one. CJ Hicks off the edge. Alvaro Reese, off-ball linebacker or off the edge, whichever he may want to be. There's a lot of talent, a lot of good young talent at Ohio State. And it was very clear that that defense will be pretty good in the fall. Let's not forget one thing about the spring game when it comes to Matt Patricia's defense. They were very, very vanilla. Extremely vanilla. I mean, the everydayers got to hear a little detail of Max Claire's touchdown during yesterday's show and talk about the bunch formation and Carnell Tate going out in motion, but talk about how it's Tate and Ennis, but the guy in the middle of the bunch on the line of scrimmage was Max Claire and the mismatch nightmare it created. That was cover 2. My gut tells me that in a game, Caleb Downs picks that up before the snap of the ball. They make a quick change, and that receiver or tight end is not that wide open. Not at all. So I'm not going to be able to – I get why that happened. I 100% get it. But, man, Peyton Pierce is one of those guys. He's going to be a thumper. The weird thing is, at other schools around the country, Peyton Pierce is a starting linebacker this year. But he's at Ohio State behind Alvaro Reese and Sonny Styles, and Styles might be the guy that wear the Blanco jersey this year. That's great. I think he's a well-worthy candidate to receive that high honor. But Peyton Pierce just waiting his turn, man. Is it now? No. Is he going to play? Absolutely. I see Peyton Pierce. If you go back even last year at times with us Cody Simon and Sonny Styles, who was the next man up who played quite a bit? Arvell Reese. Now, I think Arvell Reese had to get stronger. I mean, physically stronger. Well, he was a good linebacker, had some good instincts in a backup role. I still think he physically needed to get stronger, but he did that in the offseason. Well, Peyton Pierce, he already got the muscle. He came to Ohio State ready to play, ready to lock into what the Buckeyes are teaching. He ended up going in the weight room and putting on that healthy weight, and you could see that. And then you see him during the spring game when Ryan Day did something that's unconventional for Ryan Day, which is allowing more hitting during that practice. What did we find? Who was thumping? Over and over and over again, it was P squared. I don't know if that nickname is going to stick. I'm not sure. But if that nickname does, it's kind of like K-Jack. Everydayers know K-Jack is Kenyatta Jackson Jr., and Peyton Pierce might be P squared. I don't know, man. We're going to try and get some nicknames over the next few weeks and months so that when the season starts, we're going to be a nickname show right here at Locked on Buckeyes. Yeah, we're going to analyze the ball, talking about utilizing nicknames, and hopefully those things stick throughout the season. Peyton Pierce is one of them. Logan George is another. It is going to be very, very hard for Matt Patricia and Larry Johnson to not consistently find ways to put Logan George on the field. K-Jack and Caden Curry, those are the two starting defensive ends. CJ Hicks got in some run and mixed in with the ones as well as a stand-up 2-point stance defensive end opposite. Sometimes it was opposite Caden Curry. Well, Logan George is another one that could be a stand-up or in a 3-point stance. And he came to Ohio State to play. Yeah, I know you were at Idaho a year ago. I know it's a lower level than the FBS that you're currently at. I don't care. That man can play. Go back and watch a spring game. You can find it on the YouTube if you didn't record it. you will be able to see exactly what we all saw. Logan George getting in the backfield. Logan George having moved. Logan George doing things to create havoc for the lineman that was right in front of him. Logan George is going to play. Now, on defense, if we're not even focusing on the starters, I can just run through a few of them quickly. I did a little bit yesterday. Aaron Scott Jr. going to play. Fahim Delane is going to push Jalen McClain, and Malik Harford is a guy that's going to try to be – he's probably not going to start. That is Delane, that is probably not going to start. That does not mean that there won't be a role for the young safety, because I think that man is good enough to play. Now, could he be a cover safety? Absolutely. But if we go to Aaron Scott Jr., I think there's a scenario that Aaron Scott Jr. could be the starting nickel corner where Fahim Delane could play that, be a little bit more physical. He comes as a true freshman physically ready to play, which is so rare. But also, let's give credit to Ohio State's recruiting department, because this is not the first athlete that's coming to Ohio State as a true freshman that is physically ready to play. One of the first guys that popped into my head when I was started covering this show and hosting this show, and diving more into recruiting was Dallin Hayden. I still think about that to this day. There was an interview one of my buddies did, Shane Larson, who did an interview with Dallin Hayden after Hayden committed to Ohio State. And I saw the interview, and then I watched the young man play football. I realized at that moment he was physically ready to play college football. If you think about Jeremiah Smith a year ago, he's also a freak of nature, but he came into Ohio State physically ready to play. Brian Smith, longtime recruiting analyst, hosting the portal right here at the Locked On Podcast Network. Brian talked about numerous face-to-face interactions with Jeremiah Smith and just how you can look at him and maybe hit his back, just saying good job or something like that. And you just feel the rock of muscle in his back. That's not normal. And I've been around a lot of athletes at the high school level, week after week after week. Football, basketball, baseball, softball, track and field, don't matter. Around a lot of athletes. Jeremiah Smith is built different. Some of you may remember these names: Darren Evans and Jeremy Finch. Darren Evans and Jeremy Finch. I got Nico's name correct. I don't know why I butchered both of those names. Darren Evans played at Warren Central High School in the area where I went to high school there. Played football down at Virginia Tech. And Jeremy Finch, the best safety I've ever seen live. Absolutely. I've never seen a safety like him. Played at Florida, had some issues, bounced around to a couple schools. Those guys were really good. Great high school football players. They weren't physically built like Jeremiah Smith. He's just different. Absolutely different. Well, the same thing goes for Fahim Delane. He is physically built and ready to play football right now at Ohio State. I don't know if he's ready to play football, though. Only time will tell. But he's another one. The starters, I like the front four of Curry, K-Jack, Caden McDonald, and Edric Houston, linebackers, Sonny Styles, and Orville Reese. The corners, Matthews Jr. and IGB, the safeties, Downs, and I'd be cool with Malik Hartford, absolutely. Then at nickel, at one point I said Lorenzo Styles Jr. I might be leaning more towards Aaron Scott Jr., and I'm cool with that, man. I'm absolutely cool. This team is ready to play. They got some dudes. While those positions are solid at the top, that does not mean there is depth at every position, which adds to some concerns Ohio State might have after the spring game. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Thank you all for tapping on Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. The portal opens tomorrow for Ohio State. For every team in college football, with the portal opening up, that means only one thing. Guys might be leaving the program, but also there are guys out there that you need to pursue because they play specific positions. Defensive end depth, cool with it. Linebacker depth, cool with it. Corner and safety depth, cool with it. O-line depth, I'm better with tackle than I am at guard and center. Running backs, cool. Receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks, can't say the same thing for all of those. But there's one position that we haven't talked about during today's show that Ohio State desperately needs to go to the portal and probably get a couple guys that can be depth pieces for Ohio State. It's the defensive tackle position. After Cade McDonald and Edric Houston, the next man up to me is Jason Moore. After that, it's Tyrone Malone. You can flip-flop them, make 1-3, the other 4, and then go the other way if you want to. But reality is, those are your third and fourth defensive tackles. After that, you know names. You saw guys play in the spring game, but you don't know. You don't have a great handle on a guy that could start. But you don't know why? Because sometimes guys just take a little bit longer to get developed. Also, in the spring game, there were some injuries. There was one on the D-line. There's some other injuries to guys that we're looking forward to watching. I just weren't able to look at. I'm going to go top to bottom here off of the defense. This was reported and confirmed by Dan Hope of 11 Warriors. Quarterback Mason Maggs, Isaiah West, running back Will Kazmarek, saw him on a scooter. Josh Mickens, Garrett Stover, Deshaun Stewart, and Keenan Nelson Jr. All of those guys were unable to go in the spring game. Now, safety linebacker Garrett Stover is going to play. I probably not going to play much this year, but I think the year after he's going to play. He could even play a little safety if you need him to, but I think he's more of a linebacker for the Buckeyes. Isaiah West, incoming freshman, great, has the potential to be a great running back, but okay. Mickens is one of those guys that he's been fighting an uphill battle the entire time, and now you're having an injury right now. I don't think he's going to transfer. I don't think so at all. I think there's a promise, there's a plan for him. The injury just doesn't work out very well for him. But you got guys that are dinged up. You got guys that are hurt. Spring ball was physical. It was an intense session. I loved every part of it. I am with Ryan Day that I understand Ryan Day's desire to want to have more practice because these guys haven't played a lot of ball. Different than the NFL, where I believe the NFL has a rookie mini camp. They have OTAs. I believe there's mini camp and training camp. I don't know all the NFL's ins and outs. I don't cover the NFL on a regular basis. But the NFL has some off-season training that definitely helps guys that don't play a lot. This moment for Ryan Day, this team needs more practice. But also, if you have more practice, you could do what? Get a guy from the portal, get him on the practice field, and allow him to get quickly acclimated to Ohio State's defense because you desperately need to add more defensive tackles. I believe wholeheartedly that Tyrone Malone and Jason Moore can be good this year. Absolutely. But we just don't know. We don't know at all. If we fast forward and went to week 1 and then the Grambling State game or halftime, it's game time, all that good stuff, and then you keep going on to the season, we will be able to have a better handle on everything, but we don't. It's the beauty of the portal, too. I don't like all the rules of the portal. I'll get this out of the way right now. One of the beauties of the portal is being able to acquire guys right now in the spring, after spring practice, and allow them to come to your team, go through the repetitious install of things for the defense, get acclimated with the culture of Ohio State. allow them to do some things in the summer months with their teammates to create a strong bond before getting back in the practice field in the fall to ramp things up. A very quick ramp up process before that first game against Texas. I said Tennessee earlier. Now Tennessee's back on my mind. Now I know Chris Stapleton, Tennessee Whiskey, even though that would be my go-to karaoke song. If your boy did karaoke, that'd be the song. Can I hit those high notes like him? Absolutely not. Would I try? Yes, sir, I would. I'm not going to pull it out for you here on the show. My wife's heard that numerous times, and I'll just leave that little tidbit there for you. But I do think defensive tackle, I do think quarterback. Those are the two positions that Ohio State needs to look at in the portal. You're not trying to go out there and get a starter. No. The interesting thing is now for this period, there's only a short period of time for guys to even enter the portal. So if there's someone out there that's trying to enter the portal, they don't have a month. You have to move now. And this allows Ryan Day to know, hey, we're having conversations now with guys about their spot if they feel that what we're telling them is a little bit different than what they think, and people in their circle are advising them to go elsewhere to play football to get on the field quicker, great. I am not a fan at all. Let's go back to the Nico Iamaleava situation. I am not a fan of, let me leave to go get more money. No. Because you know what? You know who could have left to got more money? Jeremiah Smith. I know of a booster at a school in the South, or I don't know his name. I've heard of a booster in the South that has stupid money that has been using it to get guys down there to a school in the South. That's all I'm going to say. Not saying state. I'm going to say the part of the country. They've been trying to get Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith is a guy that everybody would want. Jeremiah Smith could go elsewhere and get more money. But you know what? Jeremiah Smith wants to get developed here. And he knows the importance of Brian Hartline and Ryan Day and the offense and the track record of success at Ohio State, especially at the wide receiver position since Hartline came to Ohio State. Let's not forget, Zach Smith was a really good receivers coach too. What did Brian Hartline do? Took it to another level. But if you look at Zach Smith's receivers while Zach Smith was the coach, what did you find Zach Smith always had 5 or 6 guys that could go week after week after week. Benjamin Victor catch, who was his coach? I believe that was Brian. I believe that may have been Hartline, but Zach Smith got him there. I forget the whole Zach Smith timeline, so I'm not really sure about time of Zach Smith being there versus when he wasn't. I don't know. I know Zach Smith was the reason he was there at Ohio State. Let's just think about what Buckeyes have right now for them moving forward. Really good offensive players. Skill positions handled in the trenches. Defense. Defense might be better early in the season than a lot of us expected. Thinking about what Ohio State lost last year and how I believe all of the guys they lost on defense are going to get drafted. Yes. You lose 8 of your 11 starters on defense, and my gut tells me all of them will get drafted. The only questionable guys that were on Ohio State's team that are entering the draft that are questionable to get drafted are G. Scott Jr. and Josh Fryer. Josh Fryer tested well, so that may help him get into the 7th round, but I'm still leaning that G. Scott Jr. and Josh Fryer are undrafted free agents. They'll get an invite to camp, and I don't know if either one will make it through camp. I don't know. G. Scott Jr. maybe, if he wants to continue his football career, go to the UFL, go to the CFL, go to the Indoor Football League or Arena, whatever it is. Go to one of those leagues because I don't know if his skill set at tight end and his makeup as a player is what an NFL team is looking for right now. If you want to flex a guy that's better at receiving than at blocking, cool. Great. That's G. Scott Jr., but does he have the speed with his skill set to be a guy that could be a threat over and over and over? Honestly, I don't think so. Thank y'all for tapping the Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Tuesday and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL Draft with Damian Parson and Keith Sanchez as your favorite collegiate players get ready for the next level. Get the latest draft rankings, rumors, and news every day. Find Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at JSteven07. send every email to jstevens317 at gmail.com. This has been Locked on Buckeyes right here on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time. A Taco Tuesday. Now, I don't like LeBron, but I will celebrate. Do my best to celebrate like LeBron James would. Go Bucks.